Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to talk about EB-04. And it's kind of a weird one. Because the thing about EB-04 is, we didn't get any distributor information. When I told you about OP-04 before we had all, obviously now it's been revealed and all of that, but before we had it revealed, we had a bunch of distributor information telling us a bunch of stuff about OP-14. And it turned out, incidentally, to be correct. There's a reason I use the distributor info as much as I do, because it turns out to be correct. We already know a bunch of stuff about OP-15, because OP-15 is going to be Sky Island, and we're going to get Brooke or Frankie as a leader, and it's going to be lovely. We know a bunch about those sets. The thing about EB-04 is we're not getting EB-04. Or, to be more precise, we're not getting EB-04 as its own standalone set. And for that reason, we've not actually had a bunch of information about it. We've not had distributors being like, mate, have you heard about EB-04? I know it's a bit early. I know it's not been revealed yet, but come on. Let's hear about this. Let's talk about this. No, it doesn't happen. Because it's getting put into our other sets. So here's a nice graphic which is thrown out officially showing us that OP-14 is actually going to have EB-04 in. That is green, blue, and purple. Although it's not like official. Come on. We know that OP-15 is going to have the other half, which of course would be yellow, red, and black. Partly because it's kind of obvious, but also partly because we have actually been told by distributors that that's going to be the case. And that's been a little bit awkward, frankly, because it means that we've not had our usual source of early EB-04 information. Well, in comes Amazon. Amazon Japan are here to save the day. Cool. I'm alright with this, ladies and gentlemen. I am alright with this. I'm also alright with this because this is striking me as a set which I'm gonna like. Egghead Crisis EB-04 One Piece card game extra booster. Yeah, it's Egghead Crisis. Now, we don't know very much about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Sorry about that. But actually, we kind of do know a lot about it. Like, if we look at the listing for EB-03, which is a Heroine's edition, it's just called EB-03 One Piece Card Game Extra Booster Heroine Edition. Well, we know that. This is fine. We have that information. Wonderful. The thing is, we look at EB-03, and it's a Heroine's edition, and it's a set entirely about the heroines of the One Piece card game. It is female characters. That is what it is. No ifs, buts, or maybes. When One Piece makes it this obvious what the set is about, they stick to it. This is an Egghead set. And the thing to remember is, this is going to be a full-on Egghead set. Not like a little bit of Egghead here or there. In theory, this should be a full-on Egghead set. Because let's have a look at EB-02, for instance. What was EB-02? EB-02 was the 25th anniversary of the anime. That's what we had from EB-02. That's what we were promised. And if we have a look at EB-02 and we remind ourselves about that set, it did not shy away from celebrating the anime. The artwork was full-on anime. Look at the Thousand Sunny, one of my favourite looking cards from the set. Look at Carrot. They went full anime artwork. But not only that, you had all of those cards like We Are, those event cards that had the sketch anime style. They went full anime. And I love it. Absolutely love it. Also, shout out to the Old Art Nami. Clearly one of the best cards in the set. But they themed it after the anime, and they unashamedly went full anime theming. This is important. If we have a look at EB-03, the Heroines edition, it's called EB-03 Heroines edition. Although it's not out in English yet, we can look at the Japanese set. And there's one leader. It's Nefertari Vivi. And the entire set is female characters. The closest they got to giving us a non-female character was giving us Trafalgar Law. But even then, with Trafalgar Law, they gave us Trafalgar Law after Doc Q had turned him into a woman. So that didn't count. We were there. It was great. We had a full-themed heroine set. And this is very important. Because if we contrast that with something like OP-09, for instance, OP-09 is the Four Emperors set. And if we take Shanks as an example of one of the Emperors, yes, we got ourselves a Shanks leader. Yes, we got ourselves a Shanks Special Rare Wanted poster. Yes, we got ourselves a Shanks Manga Rare. They went for the Four Emperors in that set. There was a lot of Four Emperors stuff in that set. There was also a bunch of stuff in that set that didn't really have much to do with the Four Emperors. We had, take like Koala, Bartholomew Kuma, and Sabo. We had like a full Revolutionary Army package in that set, which doesn't really have anything to do with the Four Emperors. And I know you can find a connection between the Four Emperors and the Revolutionary Army. My point is, OP-09 was a Four Emperors themed set, and yet a bunch of the yellow cards were Revolutionary Army. That is not the Four Emperors. That is not what we're doing. We had Lim to give ourselves a new option for One Piece Odyssey. And actually there were a bunch of Odyssey cards. Doflamingo, for instance. And although it doesn't really see any play, the Rob Lucci artwork's really cool. The point I'm making here is OP-09 was themed after the Four Emperors. But when you take into account things like Odyssey and Revolutionary Army, they went away from the theme. In OP sets, they have a theme, they celebrate that theme, and they're willing to just throw in a bunch of other stuff as well. But you look at EB-02, you look at EB-03, that's not what they do. They go full into theming. And yeah, honestly, I'm down with this. Because what that means is full-on Egghead set. The manga rare will be something from Egghead. Maybe Vegapunk, maybe one of the Straw Hats in their Egghead costume. I don't know. But the manga rare is going to be something Egghead related. Everything is going to be Egghead related. That's what we've seen from these extra boosters. Much stronger theming. Now, there are a bunch of questions to which I just don't have any answers. Because, you look at EB-02, oh, hang on a second, they had those gold leaders, that was cool. But then they went away from that, that was a one-time thing. You look at EB-03, and hang on a second, now they've got special rares, which we never had before. Yep. But again, I don't know if they're going to do that again in EB-04. Things like special rares and gold leaders, we have absolutely no idea. They've done stuff like this in the past, which they may or may not repeat. There's no pattern established. I couldn't tell you one way or the other. One thing we can say for certain is the very strong theme. And as a fan of the Egghead Island, the whole arc, I love this. I want a full-on Egghead theme. Because remember, Starter Deck 29 is coming, and Starter Deck 29 is yellow Straw Hat Egghead. Again, we know this from distributors. We know that we are going to be getting yellow Egghead in that set, and that's kind of awesome, honestly. Now we've got EB-04 coming as an Egghead set, in addition to Starter Deck 29. And look, right now, you look at Egghead leaders, we've got Vegapunk and we've got Bonnie. They are your Egghead leaders. And we know there's a bunch of new yellow Egghead cards coming in Starter Deck 29. That's confirmed. But what about other color Egghead? No idea is the honest answer here. I wouldn't even like to guess. But there's definitely a chance. Or is yellow Egghead just going to get a whole bunch new tricks? Obviously, if they go too deep into the Egghead theming, as we would usually expect from an EB set, then they are obviously going to have to bring it in every color. But the question is, are they going to really go Egghead, or are they just going to go kind of theme the art after Egghead, but make the effects more like we would usually see in blue, black, green, etc.? I don't know. This is all supposition. The one thing we do know for certain is that EB-04 is coming, and it is going to be coming as Egghead Crisis. And essentially, if you like a character, ask yourself the question, did they have a role to play in the Egghead saga, in the Egghead arc? If the answer is yes, wonderful news. If the answer is no, you're probably not expecting a new card of them. Now, one of the fun things we can do with EB-04, however, because we know that EB-04 is being split up between the OP-14 and OP-15 sets, we can actually use that, along with some of the distributor information, to kind of see what we're getting here. For instance, we know that in OP-15, there are going to be 7 leaders. This is confirmed. That means there is an extra leader. Whereas in OP-14, there are only 6 leaders. So what that tells us is, definitively, EB-04 has 1 leader. Not only that, but it has to be yellow, red, or black, because they are the colours of EB-04 that we're getting in OP-15, and because there's 7 leaders in OP-15, that means the EB-04 leader is coming in OP-15, ergo it has to be yellow, black, or red. Are we getting a 4th, by which point it will be the 4th, are we getting a 4th yellow Egghead leader here? I don't know, but it's kind of exciting to think about. The concrete information we have here is nice and simple. It is that EB-04 is confirmed to be called Egghead Crisis, which means proper Egghead theme set. This is lovely. But more than that, as we've done in this video, we can look back at previous sets, especially the EB sets, and we can figure out quite a lot about this set and what's going to be likely, and that to me is pretty exciting. But I've told you about all of this now, so now it's over to you guys. What do you think we're going to see from EB-04? What do you want to see from EB-04? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.